You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are undisciplined. And that is good news. Because discipline is not talent. Discipline is psychology. And psychology can be trained. Stay here. This audiobook will change how you act. Your life does not fall apart in one day. It slips slowly through small choices. You skip one habit. You delay one task. You listen to one excuse. Then your mind learns weakness. This audiobook is about stopping that pattern. Not with motivation. Not with hype. But with discipline. You will learn the psychology of discipline. How the mind resists effort. How emotions lie under pressure. And how controlled people stay consistent, even on bad days. You have a choice. You can react and stay stuck. Or you can train control and move forward. You do not need their permission. You do not need perfect conditions. It is not about motivation, it is about discipline. Listen closely. Apply what you hear. This is not entertainment. This is training. Now begin. Chapter 1. Discipline is not motivation. Motivation fades. Discipline stays. That is the truth. This truth changes everything. Most people wait to feel ready. Most people wait to feel motivated. Most people wait for energy, excitement, or confidence. That waiting destroys progress. Motivation is emotional. Emotions are unstable. They rise. They fall. They change without warning. One day you feel powerful. The next day you feel empty. One morning you feel driven. The next morning you feel tired. That is emotion. That is motivation. That is why motivation fails. Discipline does not care how you feel. Discipline works when you feel strong. Discipline works when you feel weak. Discipline works when you feel nothing. That is the difference. You were never meant to feel motivated every day. You were meant to be disciplined. That is the key. It is not about motivation, it is about discipline. Motivation asks a question. Discipline gives a command. Motivation asks if you feel like acting. Discipline tells you to act anyway. Motivation needs excitement. Discipline needs commitment. Motivation needs perfect conditions. Discipline works in imperfect moments. That is why disciplined people win. Not because they are special. Not because they are gifted. But because they act, even when emotion disappears. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can wait for motivation. Or you can move with discipline. Waiting feels safe. Waiting feels comfortable. Waiting builds regret. Think about how many times you started. Think about how many times you stopped. Not because the task was impossible, but because the feeling changed. You felt tired. You felt bored. You felt uncomfortable. So you stopped. That is not weakness. That is conditioning. Your mind learned a pattern. When effort feels uncomfortable, you quit. When resistance appears, you delay. That pattern is learned. That pattern can be unlearned. That is good news. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. Discipline frees you from excuses. Discipline frees you from moods. Discipline frees you from emotional control. When you are disciplined, you decide. Your emotions follow. That is power. Most people think discipline means force. Most people think discipline means suffering. That belief is wrong. Discipline means direction. Discipline means deciding once, then following through every time. You do not negotiate with discipline. You do not debate discipline. You follow it. Motivation says you will start tomorrow. Discipline says you start now. Motivation says you need to feel ready. Discipline says readiness is irrelevant. It is not about feeling ready, it is about acting anyway. That sentence separates progress from stagnation. Look at consistent people. Look at reliable people. They are not always excited. They are not always inspired. They are trained. They train themselves to act without emotion. That is discipline. Discipline is doing the work even when unnoticed. Discipline is showing up even without reward. Discipline is staying consistent even when progress feels slow. That is how results are built. You do not rise to motivation. You fall to your level of discipline. Read that again in your mind. You do not rise to motivation. You fall to your level of discipline. That is the key. Your emotions will lie to you. They will tell you that you are tired. They will tell you that you are not ready. They will tell you that you deserve comfort. Sometimes that is true. Most times that is an excuse. Emotion focuses on comfort. Discipline focuses on outcome. Comfort keeps you where you are. Discipline takes you where you want to go. You have a choice. You can obey emotion, or you can obey discipline. Emotion wants ease. Discipline wants growth. It is not about talent, it is about training. It is not about mood, it is about method. It is not about motivation, it is about discipline. You will not feel motivated tomorrow. You will not feel motivated next week. You will not feel motivated every morning. That is normal. Stop expecting motivation to save you. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. A spark alone moves nothing. If you build discipline, motivation becomes optional. If you rely on motivation, discipline never forms. Discipline is boring. That is why it works. Boring actions repeated daily create results. Emotion wants excitement. Discipline wants consistency. That is the trade. You do not need their permission. You do not need approval. You do not need encouragement. You need discipline. You have a choice. Every single day. When you wake up, emotion speaks first. It tells you to stay comfortable. It tells you to delay effort. That moment matters. That moment trains discipline. When you act despite emotion, discipline grows. When you delay because of emotion, discipline weakens. That is the cycle. Discipline is built quietly. Discipline is built through repetition. Discipline is built through small actions. Not speeches. Not hype. Not excitement. Action builds discipline. You do not need confidence to act. You do not need strength to start. Confidence comes after action. Strength follows consistency. Discipline comes first. Say this clearly in your mind. It is not about motivation, it is about discipline. Say it again. It is not about motivation, it is about discipline. That sentence must become your rule. Rules remove confusion. Rules remove emotion. Rules create stability. Discipline is a rule you follow, even when emotion disagrees. That is control. This chapter is your foundation. If you understand this, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop negotiating. You start acting. You have a choice. You can keep chasing motivation, or you can build discipline. One fades. One stays. Choose wisely. You now understand the truth. Motivation fades. Discipline stays. Now we go deeper. Now we expose resistance itself. Chapter 2. Your mind is designed to resist effort. Resistance is natural. It is not personal. That is the first truth you must understand. When you feel resistance, it does not mean you are weak. When you feel resistance, it does not mean you are lazy. It means your mind is working as designed. Your brain was built for survival, not for growth, not for discipline, not for long-term success. Survival comes first. Your brain wants safety. Your brain wants comfort. Your brain wants low effort. Effort feels risky to the brain. Change feels unsafe to the brain. That is why resistance appears. Resistance is not your enemy. Resistance is a signal. It signals that you are doing something new. It signals that you are stepping outside comfort. That is important. Most people misunderstand resistance. They take it personally. They think, something is wrong with me. That thought is false. Resistance is expected. Every time you try to improve, resistance will appear. Every time you try to change habits, resistance will appear. Every time you try to stay disciplined, resistance will appear. This is normal. Your brain avoids discomfort by default. Discomfort uses energy. Discomfort creates uncertainty. Your brain does not like uncertainty, so it reacts. It creates excuses. It creates doubts. It creates delay. Not because they are true, but because they protect comfort. Every excuse is a survival response. It is not the truth. The excuse sounds logical. The excuse sounds reasonable. That is why it works. Your brain is smart. It knows how to convince you. It will say, start tomorrow. It will say, you are tired. It will say, this is not the right time. These thoughts feel real. They feel convincing. But they are not facts. They are reactions. The brain reacts before you think. That is important to understand. Resistance happens fast. Awareness happens slowly. If you are not aware, resistance wins automatically. Most people quit without knowing why. They think they chose to stop. They did not. They reacted. Awareness changes this. When you notice resistance, its power weakens. When you name it, it loses control. You must learn to say this sentence internally. This is resistance. This is normal. That awareness creates space. In that space, you can choose. Without awareness, you obey automatically. Resistance thrives in silence. Resistance thrives in confusion. Clarity weakens it. Let us be very clear. Resistance does not mean stop. Resistance means continue. The brain pushes back. When effort increases, that is a pattern. Think about exercise. Before starting, your mind says it is too hard. During exercise, your mind says stop early. After finishing, your mind feels calm. Nothing changed outside. Only action changed. That proves something important. Resistance lies before action. Peace comes after action. The brain exaggerates effort. The brain exaggerates pain. It does this to save energy. Energy equals survival. This is ancient wiring. Your brain evolved to avoid danger, not to build modern discipline. So you must lead it. If you follow the brain, you stay comfortable. If you lead the brain, you grow. That leadership requires awareness. You must see resistance as weather. It comes and goes. You do not argue with weather. You do not take it personally. You prepare. Then you move. Resistance is expected. Quitting is optional. Repeat that clearly. Resistance is expected. Quitting is optional. That sentence removes fear. When you expect resistance, it no longer surprises you. Surprise creates panic. Expectation creates control. Most people quit because they are surprised. They thought discipline would feel easy. They thought motivation would stay. That belief was wrong. Discipline feels uncomfortable at first. Growth feels heavy at first. Resistance is proof of progress. No resistance means no challenge. No challenge means no change. Your mind will test you. It will ask, how serious are you? It will push back to see if you quit. This happens every time you change identity. If you push through, the brain adapts. Neural pathways change. What felt hard before becomes normal later. That is training. The brain learns through repetition. When you quit, the brain learns avoidance. When you continue, the brain learns tolerance. Discipline is learned tolerance. Tolerance for effort. Tolerance for discomfort. That tolerance is built, not given. Each time you act, despite resistance, you strengthen control. Each time you quit, because of resistance, you strengthen avoidance. That is the rule. Resistance itself is harmless. Your reaction gives it power. Most people fight resistance emotionally. That makes it stronger. Do not fight it. Observe it. Say this internally. I notice resistance. I continue anyway. That is discipline. You do not need to feel strong. You do not need confidence. You need awareness. Awareness breaks the automatic cycle. The brain wants shortcuts. Discipline wants standards. Shortcuts feel good now. Standards pay off later. Your brain lives in now. Your goals live in later. That creates conflict. That conflict is resistance. You must side with later. Later's self depends on today's self. Resistance will try to protect today. Discipline protects tomorrow. This is the real battle. Not good versus bad. Not strong versus weak. It is short-term comfort versus long-term growth. Once you understand this, resistance loses mystery. It becomes predictable. Predictable problems are manageable. Every day, resistance will speak first. That is normal. Your job is not to silence it. Your job is to act anyway. You do not need to win arguments. You need to move your body. Action shuts resistance down. Thinking feeds resistance. Action starves it. That is important. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness comes after starting. The brain resists beginnings. Once you begin, resistance weakens. Start small. Start simple. 5 minutes is enough. One action is enough. Discipline does not require intensity. It requires consistency. Resistance hates consistency. Consistency makes effort normal. Normal effort feels easy. This is how habits form. Not through motivation. Through repetition. Resistance appears less. When routines exist, routines remove decision-making. Decisions invite resistance. Structure reduces resistance. That is why discipline needs structure. Same time, same action, same rule. Rules reduce mental friction. Your brain likes predictability. Use that. Instead of asking, should I act today? Decide once. I act every day. No negotiation. Resistance thrives on negotiation. Remove the debate. Awareness removes the power of resistance. You are not broken. You are human. Your brain is not the enemy. It just needs leadership. You provide that leadership through discipline. Say this again. Resistance is expected. Quitting is optional. This truth sets you free. In the next chapter, we will break the lie of willpower. You will learn why disciple is not about strength, but about systems. Now you understand resistance. You are ready to move forward. Chapter 3. Stop negotiating with yourself. Discipline dies in negotiation. That is the truth. Every time you negotiate with yourself, you weaken control. Every debate creates delay. Every delay feeds doubt. Negotiation feels smart, but it is dangerous. Weak people debate actions. Disciplined people decide once. That difference changes everything. Your mind loves negotiation. It feels safe. It feels logical. It feels responsible. But it destroys momentum. When you negotiate, you invite emotion into the decision. Emotion is unstable. Emotion changes by the hour. Discipline cannot survive that. Every internal debate sounds reasonable. Should I do it now? Or later? Should I rest today? Or skip once? One debate becomes 10. 10 debates become quitting. Negotiation never ends. That is the trap. Discipline requires closure, not discussion. The strongest people are not smarter. They are clearer. They remove choice. They decide once. After that, they act automatically. This is important. Most people think discipline means force. It does not. Discipline means structure. Structure removes emotion. Emotion creates confusion. Rules remove confusion. Rules are simple. Rules are boring. Rules are powerful. When you live by rules, you do not argue with yourself. You follow instructions. Your own instructions. That is self-respect. Negotiation is self-doubt. Each time you debate, you signal uncertainty to your brain. The brain responds with resistance. Resistance grows with uncertainty. Certainty weakens resistance. Rules create certainty. For example, if you wake up and ask, "Should I work today?" you have already lost. The debate has begun. Your mind will list reasons to stop. Fatigue. The list is endless. But if your rule is clear, "I work every weekday," there is no debate. You act. No emotion needed. Rules work even when motivation is gone. Motivation requires feeling. Rules require obedience. Obedience creates freedom. That sounds strange, but it is true. When you remove choice, you remove stress. Choice creates pressure. Pressure creates avoidance. Decisions use energy. Daily decisions drain discipline. That is why people quit. They decide too often. Disciplined people do not decide daily. They decide once. They decide the standard. Then they follow it. Decide once. Act always. Say that clearly. Decide once. Act always. This anchor removes chaos. Your brain wants comfort. It will argue for comfort. Do not give it the microphone. Rules silence the argument. Negotiation keeps it alive. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not debate it daily. You decided long ago. That is why it happens automatically. Discipline works the same way. If you negotiate exercise, you will skip it. If you negotiate reading, you will avoid it. If you negotiate sleep, you will scroll instead. Negotiation always favors comfort. Comfort is seductive. Comfort is expensive. It costs growth. Rules protect your future. You must understand this. Every time you ask, "Do I feel like it?" you hand control to emotion. Emotion is temporary. Consequences are permanent. Disciplined people ignore feeling checks. They follow process checks. Is this on my schedule? Yes or no? That is it. Simple rules beat complex plans. Complex plans invite discussion. Discussion invites doubt. Short rules work better. For example, I train every morning. I write before checking my phone. I sleep at the same time. These rules do not care how you feel. That is their strength. Negotiation weakens identity. When you debate, you question who you are. Am I disciplined today? Or not? Rules answer that. I am disciplined. Because I follow rules. Identity becomes stable. Stability builds confidence. Confidence reduces resistance. Everything connects. Discipline is not intensity. It is clarity. Clear rules. Clear actions. Clear identity. Negotiation blurs all three. Stop asking permission from yourself. You already know what to do. The debate is fake. It exists to delay discomfort. Delay feels harmless. But delay kills momentum. Momentum needs speed. Speed comes from certainty. Certainty comes from decisions. Decide once. Act always. Your brain will resist this at first. It will say, "This is too strict." That is resistance speaking. Rules feel strict because they remove escape. Escape feels good short-term. Escape creates regret long-term. Rules protect you from regret. Negotiation protects fear. That is the difference. Discipline does not mean harshness. It means commitment. Commitment reduces stress. When the rule is set, there is peace. No debate. No guilt. No overthinking. You act. Then you move on. This is freedom. Rules also simplify recovery. If you miss once, you do not spiral. You return to the rule. No drama. Negotiation creates drama. Rules create calm. Calm supports discipline. Many people fail because they negotiate standards. They say, "I will try my best." That is not a rule. That is a suggestion. Suggestions are ignored. Rules are followed. Your brain respects clarity. It disrespects hesitation. Set rules that are realistic. Rules must be clear and specific, not vague. Bad rule: I will work more. Good rule: I work 1 hour daily at 7 a.m. Specific rules remove excuses. Excuses live in vagueness. Clarity kills excuses. Rules also protect energy. You stop wasting energy on decisions. That energy goes into action. Action builds results. Results reinforce discipline. This creates a loop. Rules lead to action. Action leads to progress. Progress builds belief. Belief strengthens discipline. Negotiation breaks the loop. It stops action at the start. Remember this. Discipline dies in negotiation. If you want control, remove debate. If you want consistency, decide once. If you want calm, use rules. Rules remove emotional confusion. Emotion will still appear, but it will not lead. Emotion can complain. Rules command. That is leadership. You are not fighting yourself. You are organizing yourself. Structure is not punishment. It is support. Rules hold you steady. When feelings fluctuate, feelings always fluctuate. Rules remain. That is why they work. Say the anchor again. Decide once. Act always. Let this become automatic. In the next chapter, you will learn how habits form. Without motivation, you will learn how repetition creates discipline quietly. For now, stop negotiating. Decide. The next. Chapter 4. Build rules, not feelings. Rules outperform willpower. That is the truth. Willpower is emotional. Rules are structural. Feelings change daily. Rules stay firm under pressure. That difference decides everything. Most people rely on feeling. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel strong. They wait to feel motivated. That waiting destroys discipline. Feelings are unstable. They depend on sleep. They depend on mood. They depend on stress. You cannot build a life on something that changes hourly. Rules do not change. Rules do not care how you slept. Rules do not care how you feel. Rules only care about execution. That is why rules work. Willpower feels heroic, but it is unreliable. You wake up strong one day, weak the next. That is normal. But discipline cannot depend on normal emotion. Discipline needs structure. Structure removes emotion. Rules are structure. Think clearly. When pressure increases, feelings collapse. Stress weakens emotion control. Pressure exposes weakness. Rules survive pressure. That is why professionals use systems. Athletes use routines. Soldiers use procedures. High performers use schedules. They do not ask how they feel. They follow the rule. Rules protect discipline. Say that clearly. Rules protect discipline. Every time you rely on feeling, you gamble consistency. Every time you rely on rules, you build reliability. Reliability builds trust. Trust builds confidence. Confidence reduces resistance. Everything connects. People fail because they feel too much. They feel tired. They feel bored. They feel unmotivated. So they stop. Rules do not feel. Rules execute. This is not about being cold. This is about being effective. Emotion is human. Structure is survival. Your brain prefers comfort. Feelings chase comfort. Rules create discomfort tolerance. Discomfort builds strength. Strength builds control. Rules train the nervous system. Feelings train avoidance. You must choose. Which system leads? You have a choice. Feeling-led life or rule-led life. One creates chaos. One creates order. Rules are simple. Simple beats complex. A rule must be clear. For example, I wake up at the same time. I train before work. I write before social media. No negotiation. No feeling check. Just action. This removes friction. Friction drains energy. Rules reduce friction. Energy goes into action. Action builds momentum. Momentum builds discipline. Willpower tries to push. Rules guide. Guidance lasts longer. Willpower runs out. Rules remain. That is why willpower fails at night. Fatigue lowers willpower. Rules still work. Rules do not get tired. You do. That is fine. Rules carry. This is important. Discipline is not self-punishment. It is self-support. Rules support future you. Future you needs protection. Present you feels emotion. Emotion wants relief. Rules delay relief. For long-term gain. That is maturity. Rules remove internal arguments. No more debating. No more guilt. You know the rule. You follow it. Peace follows. People think freedom means choice. It does not. Too much choice creates stress. Rules reduce choice. Reduced choice creates calm. Calm supports consistency. Consistency builds results. Rules also remove shame. If you fail once, you return to the rule. No drama. No self-attack. Rules are neutral. They reset you. Feelings create shame. Rules create stability. Systems create consistency. Remember that. Systems create consistency. The system is a set of rules, not goals. Goals excite emotion. Systems guide behavior. Goals live in the future. Rules live now. You act now. That is discipline. For example, goal. I want to get fit. System. I train 4 days a week. One inspires. One executes. You need both. But execution wins. Rules execute. People quit goals. People follow systems. Systems do not care about mood. They function daily. Rules also reduce thinking. Thinking drains energy. Rules remove thinking. Less thinking. More doing. That is the formula. Your brain will resist rules. It will say, this feels restrictive. That is fear of structure. Structure threatens comfort. Comfort threatens growth. Rules protect growth. Rules protect discipline. Say it again. Rules protect discipline. When life becomes chaotic, rules become anchors. Stress rises. Emotion spikes. Rules hold you steady. Without rules, you drift. Drifting leads to regret. Rules create direction. Direction creates progress. Progress builds belief. Belief strengthens discipline. Everything loops. Rules must be written. Mental rules fade. Written rules remain. Write them down. Simple language. Clear actions. Specific times. Ambiguity kills discipline. Clarity feeds it. Bad rule. I will try harder. Good rule. I start at 7 a.m. daily. Rules must be enforceable. You must respect them. If you break them often, simplify them. Rules should challenge you, not overwhelm you. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small rules done daily beat big plans done rarely. Rules scale over time. Start simple. Add slowly. Discipline grows gradually. People fail because they start extreme. Extreme rules break. Simple rules survive. Survival builds trust. Trust builds identity. Identity strengthens discipline. You begin to see yourself as disciplined. That identity matters. Rules shape identity. Feelings distort identity. Feelings say, I am weak today. Rules say, I am disciplined always. That changes behavior. Rules also protect time. Time wasted on indecision is time lost forever. Rules save time. Time saved builds life. This is not about control. It is about alignment. Rules align action with long-term values. Feelings chase short-term relief. Relief feels good. Relief delays growth. Rules delay relief. For lasting strength, strength creates calm. Calm supports emotional control. Everything returns to control. Rules are quiet. They do not shout. They work silently. That is their power. Discipline is quiet. Emotion is loud. Noise distracts. Silence builds focus. Rules create silence. Silence creates clarity. Clarity guides action. This chapter matters because without rules, discipline collapses. You cannot feel your way to consistency. You must structure your way there. Rules protect discipline. Remember that. In the next chapter, you will learn how discipline compounds daily, how small actions create unstoppable momentum. For now, stop trusting feelings. Follow rules. Follow rules. Let rules carry. When feelings fail. Chapter 5. Train the pause before action. Control begins in the pause. That is the core truth. Everything changes in the space before action. Most people never pause. They react. Reaction is automatic. Reaction is fast. Reaction is emotional. Reaction feels natural. But reaction is not control. Reaction is habit. Pausing is different. Pausing is trained. Pausing is intentional. Pausing creates choice. And choice is power. You have a choice. Most mistakes happen fast. Most regrets happen fast. Words spoken too quickly. Messages sent too quickly. Decisions made too quickly. Speed feels strong. But speed creates damage. Calm action beats fast emotion. Say that again. Calm action beats fast emotion. The pause interrupts chaos. The pause slows the nervous system. The pause gives the brain time to catch up. Without a pause, emotion leads. With a pause, discipline leads. That is the difference. Your brain is designed to react. Reaction kept humans alive. Danger appeared. Reaction saved life. But modern life is not constant danger. Emails are not threats. Messages are not attacks. Delays are not disasters. But the brain reacts like they are. That is why you must train the pause. Pausing does not happen naturally. It must be practiced. Just like discipline. Just like focus. Just like calm. Calm is trained. The pause is trained. When emotion rises, the pause must appear. That pause can be small. 1 breath. 2 seconds. 1 step back. That is enough. That space breaks the cycle. Reaction is a loop. Trigger. Emotion. Action. Regret. Pause breaks the loop. Trigger. Emotion. That is control. You are not weak. For pausing, you are disciplined. Weak people react instantly. Strong people pause. That is not opinion. That is pattern. Look at leaders. They speak slower. They move calmer. They pause before answering. That pause signals confidence. Fast reaction signals insecurity. Think clearly. When you react fast, you give power away. You give control to the trigger. The pause takes power back. The pause is your power. Say it again. The pause is your power. People fear pausing. They think silence means weakness. It does not. Silence creates dominance. Silence creates control. Silence forces clarity. When someone insults you, the pause protects you. When stress hits you, the pause stabilizes you. When anger rises, the pause saves you. Pausing feels uncomfortable at first, because emotion wants release. Emotion wants expression. The pause denies emotion control. That denial trains strength. Strength grows. In discomfort, every pause is a repetition. Repetition builds skill. Skill becomes automatic. Automatic calm is trained calm. That is mastery. The pause is physical. It is not only mental. Your body reacts first. Heart rate rises. Breathing shortens. Muscles tense. Pause resets the body. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Long exhale. That signals safety. Safety calms the brain. Calm brain thinks better. Thinking leads to logic. Logic leads to discipline. All from one pause. You must practice the pause. When stakes are low, do not wait for big moments. Practice during small irritation. Traffic delay. Slow internet. Minor criticism. Pause there. Train there. Small training prepares for big pressure. People fail under pressure because they never trained calm. They trained reaction. Reaction collapses under stress. Pause survives stress. Pressure tests discipline. Pause proves discipline. The pause is invisible training. Nobody applauds it. Nobody sees it. But results show later. That is discipline. Discipline is invisible effort with visible results. Pausing also protects relationships. Most damage in relationships comes from reaction. Words said fast cannot be taken back. Pause saves words. Pause saves trust. Pause saves respect. You do not need to win every moment. You need to control every moment. Control wins long term. Reaction wins nothing. Reaction satisfies ego. Pause builds character. Character builds life. The pause also protects decisions. Bad decisions feel urgent. Good decisions feel calm. Urgency is emotional. Calm is logical. When something feels rushed, pause longer. That urgency is a warning. The brain wants quick relief. The pause denies relief. That denial strengthens discipline. Discipline grows when relief is delayed. This is training. Every pause is a rep. Just like the gym, you do not get strong from one rep. You get strong from many reps. Same with calm. Same with control. The pause is a muscle. If used, it weakens. If trained, it dominates. Most people never train it. They react their whole life. Then they wonder why life feels chaotic. Chaos follows reaction. Order follows pause. Rules create structure. Pause creates space. Space creates choice. Choice creates power. This is a chain. Break reaction. Insert pause. Everything changes. You must decide to pause. No one can pause for you. No one can slow your breath. No one can stop your words. You have a choice. Pause or react. That choice defines discipline. People will test you. Stress will test you. Life will test you. The pause protects you from failing those tests. When insulted, when challenged, when tempted, temptation hates pause. Impulse dies in the pause. That is important. Most bad habits are impulsive. Impulse needs speed. Pause kills impulse. Pause starves bad habits. Pause feeds good habits. You cannot quit reaction without pause. Pause is the gate. Control enters through pause. This chapter matters because without pause, rules fail. Rules need space to operate. Reaction bypasses rules. Pause activates rules. That is why this matters. The pause is your power. Say it again. The pause is your power. Train it daily. Train it intentionally. Train it without emotion. Just do it. In the next chapter, you will learn how to ignore internal noise, how to stop listening to weak thoughts, how discipline speaks louder. Chapter 6 is next. But remember this. Before every action, the pause is where discipline lives. Chapter 6. Strength is quiet. Strength is quiet. That is the truth. Real discipline does not speak. It does not explain. It does not announce itself. It works in silence. Weakness is loud. Weakness needs noise. Weakness needs approval. Strength needs none. Calm effort builds mental toughness. Noise is weakness in disguise. Look around. People who talk the most do the least. People who post discipline rarely live it. Real discipline is private. Real strength is calm. You do not need to tell people what you are doing. You need to do it. That is discipline. Noise drains energy. Silence focuses energy. Focused energy creates results. Results speak louder than words. Strength is shown by consistency, not by excitement. Excitement fades. Calm effort stays. Mental toughness is built in quiet moments, early mornings, late nights, unseen effort, no applause, no attention. That is where strength grows. If you need motivation from others, discipline is weak. If you need praise, focus is broken. Quiet work builds confidence. Confidence does not shout. Confidence stands still. Noise often hides fear. People talk to hide insecurity. They explain to feel safe. Strong people act. They do not argue. They do not convince. They do not perform. They execute. That is the difference. Hard things require calm minds. Say it. Hard things coming. Repeat it. Hard things coming. When the task is hard, slow down. When pressure rises, lower your voice. When stress appears, tighten your focus. Calm does not mean weak. Calm means controlled. Control is strength. People confuse aggression with power. Aggression is reaction. Power is restraint. Restraint requires discipline. Discipline requires silence. Silence creates clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates progress. Most people burn out because they make noise. They chase hype. They chase feelings. They chase attention. Attention does not build toughness. Repetition does. Quiet repetition. Daily effort. No drama. No story. Just work. Mental toughness grows when you do not complain. Complaining releases pressure. Releasing pressure feels good, but pressure is training. Pressure strengthens the mind. Complaints weaken it. Quiet endurance builds capacity. Capacity builds dominance. Noise signals struggle. Silence signals control. Look at athletes. The best ones are calm, focused eyes, slow breath. They do not panic. They execute. They train this calm for years. Calm under pressure is trained. It is not talent. Same with discipline. Discipline grows in quiet routines. Wake up, do the work. No discussion. That is strength. Your ego wants recognition. Discipline ignores ego. Ego wants reward now. Discipline delays reward. That delay builds power. Hard things need calm minds. Say it again. Hard things coming. When life hits hard, do not react loud. React slow. Move quiet. Think clear. Calm decisions outlast emotional ones. Noise makes mistakes louder. Silence makes progress steady. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. They seek validation. They seek control. They seek safety. Strong people feel safe in silence. Silence means self-trust. Self-trust is built through kept promises. Promises to yourself. When you say you will do something, do it quietly. No announcement. No countdown. Just action. Each quiet action builds identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes life. Mental toughness is doing hard things without drama, without explanation, without excuse. That is rare. That is powerful. The world rewards noise, but noise distracts. Discipline requires tunnel vision. Tunnel vision needs silence. Silence removes distraction. Distraction kills consistency. Consistency builds strength. Strength changes outcomes. Do not confuse silence with avoidance. Silence is focus. Silence is intention. Silence is control. You can be calm and still aggressive. In action, coming, strong action. That combination wins. Hard things require patience. Patience grows in quiet moments. Scrolling is noise. Arguing is noise. Complaining is noise. Silence is training. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you grow stronger. Every time you work quietly, discipline deepens. This is uncomfortable because the ego wants credit. The ego wants proof. Discipline wants results. Results come later. Later rewards require now silence. That is the trade. If you cannot stay quiet, you cannot stay disciplined. Discipline does not announce itself. It shows up daily. Same time, same effort, same calm. That is boring. Boring builds winners. Excitement builds nothing. Mental toughness is boring consistency. Do the hard thing without emotion, without story, without noise. Just do it. That is strength. The calm mind can endure longer. The noisy mind burns fast. Burnout is loud. Strength is silent. You do not need to prove discipline. You need to practice it. No one needs to know. Your results will show. Hard things coming. Say it one more time. Hard things coming. This chapter matters because noise kills focus. Silence builds power. In the next chapter, you will learn how to stay disciplined when no one is watching, how identity is formed through private action. Chapter 7. Discipline is identity, not behavior. Discipline is identity, not behavior. That is the core truth. You do not act disciplined because you try harder. You act disciplined because of who you believe you are. Behavior follows identity. Boys, if you see yourself as undisciplined, your actions will match. If you see yourself as disciplined, your actions will follow. That is how the mind works. You act how you see yourself. Every time. Most people try to change behavior first. They force habits. They push routines. They chase motivation. It fails because identity stays the same. You cannot outwork a weak self-image. You cannot force discipline on an identity that does not accept it. That is why people quit. They try to act like someone they do not believe they are. Discipline must start with identity. Say it clearly. I am disciplined. Not someday. But identity shapes habits. Habits reinforce identity. It is a loop. A strong loop. Break the loop, and everything changes. Most people live in the wrong loop. They say, I am lazy. I am inconsistent. I am bad at routines. Then they act that way, and every action confirms the identity. That is the trap. You must reverse it. You must decide who you are, not who you were, not who you feel like, who you choose to be. Decide once. I am disciplined. Then act like it. Small actions. Simple actions. Repeated actions. Each action is a vote. A vote for your identity. Miss a workout. You vote for weakness. Keep a promise. You vote for discipline. Votes add up. Vanity is built through evidence. Evidence comes from behavior. But behavior must start with a decision. Decide who you are. Then protect that identity. Discipline is not something you do. It is something you are. Read that again. Discipline is identity. When discipline is identity, you do not debate actions. You do not negotiate. You do not wait for mood. You act in alignment. Alignment removes friction. Friction causes delay. Delay kills consistency. Consistency builds power. People ask, how do I stay disciplined? Wrong question. The right question is, who must I become? When identity changes, discipline becomes natural. A disciplined person does not need motivation. They follow standards. Standards come from identity. A disciplined person does not ask, do I feel like it? This. What does someone like me do? That question changes everything. Ask it now. What does the disciplined version of me do today? Then do that. No emotion. No debate. Just alignment. Most people live with a flexible identity. Today I try. Tomorrow I rest. Next week I restart. That flexibility feels kind, but it destroys discipline. Identity must be firm. Rules come from identity. Standards come from identity. Boundaries come from identity. If identity is weak, rules collapse. That is why habits break. Under pressure, pressure reveals identity. Under stress, you become who you truly are, not who you pretend to be. If discipline is only behavior, pressure breaks it. If discipline is identity, pressure strengthens it. Say it. Act like the disciplined version of you. Say it again. Act like the disciplined version of you. Vanity is not built through words. It is built through action. But action must be intentional. Random action creates confusion. Aligned action creates identity. Wake up. Do the task. Even when tired. That single action reinforces identity. Every time you act disciplined, you tell your brain, this is who I am. The brain listens. The brain adapts. The brain follows patterns. Identity is a pattern. Create the pattern. Protect the pattern. Do not argue with your identity. Do not say, just this once. Just once breaks trust. Trust in yourself matters. Self-trust fuels discipline. Self-trust is built when actions match words. Words without action destroy identity. Action without announcement builds it. Quiet consistency shapes self-image. Loud promises weaken it. If you want discipline, stop trying to feel disciplined. Start acting like someone who is. Identity first. Behavior second. This is how athletes think. This is how leaders think. This is how winners think. They do not wake up asking how they feel. They wake up acting in alignment. Alignment reduces resistance. Resistance fades. When identity is clear, the brain stops arguing. When the decision is made, that is freedom. Freedom from internal debate. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from inconsistency. Decide who you are. Then eliminate choices that do not match. Choices drain energy. Identity saves energy. When you know who you are, decisions become easy. A disciplined person does not scroll mindlessly. A disciplined person does not delay basics. A disciplined person keeps promises, not because it is hard, because it is who they are. Your environment should support your identity. Remove friction. For disciplined behavior, remove temptation. For weak behavior, identity is reinforced by environment. Do not rely on willpower. Design alignment. Your actions must match your identity. If they do not, change the action. Do not change the standard. Lowering standards kills identity. Raising standards builds it. Say it again. Act like the disciplined version of you. That version exists. You already know what it looks like. You already know what it does. You just avoid acting like it. Stop avoiding. Avoidance weakens identity. Action strengthens it. Discipline grows. When identity is clear, clear identity creates calm. Calm creates focus. Focus creates results. Results reinforce identity. The loop strengthens. Most people never choose identity. They drift. Drifting creates chaos. Chaos creates stress. Stress kills discipline. You need clarity. Clarity comes from decision. Decide who you are. Then show up as that person. Every day. Even on bad days. Especially on bad days. Bad days are tests. Tests reveal identity. Pass the test. Act aligned. That single action can change momentum. Momentum feeds discipline. Discipline shapes life. Life outcomes follow identity. This is not theory. This is reality. Change who you see yourself as, and behavior will follow. Do not wait to feel disciplined. Feelings are irrelevant. Identity does not need feelings. Identity needs action. Act like the disciplined version of you. Act like the disciplined version of you. This chapter matters because discipline fails when it stays external. Discipline lasts when it becomes internal. In the next chapter, you will learn how to protect this identity under pressure, how to stay aligned. When life gets hard, that is where most people fail. Chapter 8. Control your inner dialogue. Your inner dialogue controls your life. That is the truth. Your self-talk decides outcomes, not talent, not luck, not motivation. The words you repeat inside your mind shape every action. Creates weak action. builds control. Language shapes discipline. Every sentence you say to yourself becomes an instruction. Your brain listens. Boys. It does not question. It follows. If you say, "This is hard," your brain slows down. If you say, "I cannot do this," your brain looks for escape. If you say, "I'm tired," your brain reduces effort. Words are commands. Most people use weak language. Without noticing, they speak defeat. Before action begins, they say, "I will try." Try means optional. Optional means easy exit. Discipline needs certainty. Certainty comes from language. Change the words. Change the outcome. Say this. I will do it. Not try. 2. Clear talk builds control. Control builds discipline. Discipline builds results. This chain starts with words. Your inner dialogue runs all day. Most of it is negative. Most of it is fear-based. Most of it is automatic. Automatic talk creates automatic limits. You must take control. You must interrupt weak language. Awareness is the first step. Listen to how you talk. When things get hard, do you complain? Do you doubt? Do you delay? Those words weaken action. Weak words create hesitation. Hesitation breaks momentum. Momentum fuels discipline. Strong people use strong language. Simple language. Direct language. Clear language. They do not dramatize effort. They do not exaggerate pain. They say, "This is uncomfortable." Not impossible. They say, "I will handle it." Not "I hope I can." Language removes confusion. Confusion creates delay. Delay kills discipline. Every time you use weak words, you train weakness. Every time you use clear words, you train control. Your mind is a tool. Words are the settings. Set them correctly. Say it. Control the words. Control the mind. Say it again. Control the words. Control the mind. When resistance appears, your words decide response. If you say, "I need a break," you stop. If you say, "I will finish this set," you continue. Same body, same situation, different words, different outcome. This is not motivation. This is programming. The brain responds to language. It believes what you repeat. If you repeat excuses, you become excused. If you repeat strength, you become stable. People fail discipline because they speak failure. Before action, they say, "I always quit. I'm not consistent. I'm bad at this." Then they act that way. Words become identity. Identity becomes behavior. Behavior becomes life. Stop lying to yourself. With weak language, truth does not sound dramatic. Truth sounds calm. Truth sounds clear. This will be done. I am capable. I finish what I start. Say it even when tired. Especially when tired. That is when it matters. Your inner dialogue should sound like a leader, not a victim. Victim language seeks comfort. Leader language seeks progress. Comfort weakens discipline. Progress strengthens it. Do not negotiate with weak words. Replace them immediately. When you catch yourself saying, "I cannot," replace it with, "I will figure it out." When you say, "This is too much," replace it with, "One step at a time." Small changes, big impact. Your brain does not need speeches. It needs instructions. Clear instructions produce calm action. Calm action beats emotional action. Language slows the mind. Slower mind creates better control. When stress rises, shorten your words. Simple commands. Breathe. Focus. Finish. These words ground you. They cut noise. Noise creates panic. Silence creates power. Words can create silence. Use fewer words. Use stronger words. Stop explaining. Inside your mind. Explanation weakens resolve. Resolve needs clarity. Fear removes doubt. Doubt is language. Fear speaks. Confidence is quiet. Let your inner voice. Be calm. Not loud. Not emotional. Calm words. Build calm action. That is discipline. Discipline starts inside your head. Before action. Before habit. Before results. People think discipline is physical. It is mental. Mental control comes from language control. You can train this daily. Every task is an opportunity. When alarm rings, what do you say? Just 5 more minutes. Or get up. Words decide action. Action decides identity. Identity decides future. Language is power. Use it intentionally. Say it again. Control the words. Control the mind. Most people talk themselves out of progress. You must talk yourself into action. No emotion. No hype. Just truth. Truth sounds firm. Truth sounds simple. Truth does not argue. If you argue with yourself, you are losing. Stop the debate. Issue commands. Commands move the body. Debate stop it. Strong inner dialogue creates discipline under pressure. Pressure exposes language. Under stress, listen closely. That voice is trained by repetition. Train it now. Replace weak phrases. I am overwhelmed. Change to I am focused. I am behind. Change to I will catch up. I am tired. Change to I will continue. This is not lying. This is leadership. You lead yourself with words. If you do not, your emotions will. Emotions speak loudly. Discipline speaks clearly. Clear talk builds trust with yourself. Self-trust builds consistency. Consistency builds results. Results reinforce discipline. It all starts with inner dialogue. This chapter matters because discipline collapses when language is weak. Strong words create strong habits. In the next chapter, you will learn how pressure exposes discipline, how stress reveals preparation. Chapter 9. Consistency beats intensity. Consistency beats intensity. That is not an opinion. That is a law. Small actions win long-term. Boys. Intensity looks powerful. Consistency is powerful. Intensity feels strong. In the beginning, consistency looks boring. In the beginning, but intensity burns out. Consistency compounds. This is where most people fail. They start fast. They go hard. They push with emotion. Then they disappear. Discipline does not disappear. When it is real, it stays. Intensity depends on mood. Mood changes daily. Consistency depends on rules. Rules stay firm. That is the difference. People think progress comes from extreme effort. It does not. Progress comes from repeated effort. Small effort. Daily effort. Effort you can sustain. That is discipline. Say it. Small steps. Every day. Say it again. Small steps. Every day. Intensity feels productive, but it is unstable. You work hard one day. You collapse the next. That cycle breaks momentum. Momentum needs rhythm. Rhythm needs consistency. Consistency needs discipline. Discipline grows slowly. Then suddenly, first, nothing seems to change. You feel stuck. You feel unseen. You feel impatient. That is normal. That is the phase where most people quit. They expect fast results. Discipline does not work that way. It works quietly, daily, invisible, until one day, everything shifts. That is compounding. Compounding rewards patience. Intensity demands reward now. Now thinking kills long-term success. Consistency accepts delay. Delay builds power. Think about the gym. One intense workout changes nothing. 10 consistent weeks change everything. Same effort, different structure. Consistency beats intensity. Same with learning. Same with discipline. Same with life. People chase motivation to go hard. They ignore discipline to stay steady. Steady wins. Boys. Intensity uses emotion. Consistency uses identity. Identity lasts. Emotion fades. If discipline depends on excitement, it will fail. Discipline must survive boredom. Boredom is the test. Anyone can act. When excited, few can act. When nothing feels special, that is discipline. Small actions reduce resistance. Big actions trigger fear. Fear creates delay. Delay kills consistency. Make actions small. So small, they feel easy. Easy actions get repeated. Repetition builds habits. Habits build identity. Identity builds discipline. This is how it works. People overestimate what they can do in one day. They underestimate what they can do in 1 year. Intensity thinks short-term. Consistency thinks long-term. Discipline is long-term thinking. Small steps. Every day. Miss one day, you lose rhythm. Miss many days, you lose identity. Protect rhythm. Protect routine. Routine removes decision fatigue. Decisions drain energy. Consistency saves energy. When something is routine, it happens automatically. Automatic actions do not require motivation. That is freedom. Freedom from mood. Freedom from debate. Freedom from excuses. Consistency creates freedom. Intensity creates exhaustion. Look at people who succeed. They are not extreme. They are consistent. They show up, even when tired, even when bored, even when results are slow. That is mental toughness. Mental toughness is not dramatic. It is dull. It is repetitive. It is unexciting. And it wins. Small actions stack up. 1 page read. 1 workout done. 1 task completed. Nothing impressive today. Everything impressive later. Compounding is invisible. At first. That is why weak minds quit. They need proof. Strong minds trust the process. Trust grows through consistency. Every day you show up, you strengthen belief. Belief fuels discipline. Discipline fuels consistency. The loop strengthens. Intensity breaks the loop because it is unsustainable. Sustainable effort is the goal. Ask yourself, can I do this tomorrow? If not, it is too intense. Reduce it. Simplify it. Make it repeatable. Discipline is not about suffering. It is about reliability. Can you rely on yourself? Every day, even on bad days. Small actions are easier on bad days. That is why they work. When energy is low, intensity fails. Consistency adapts. You still act. Maybe slower, maybe lighter, but you act. Action preserves identity. Identity preserves discipline. Say it again. Small steps. Every day. This mindset removes pressure. Pressure creates fear. Fear creates avoidance. Avoidance kills discipline. Consistency removes fear. Because the task feels manageable. Manageable tasks get done. Done tasks build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds discipline. This is not theory. This is practice. This is how real change happens. Stop waiting for the perfect day. Perfect days do not build discipline. Ordinary days do. Ordinary effort. Ordinary routines. Extraordinary results. People who win master the boring. They respect the process. They do not rush it. They do not skip steps. They trust accumulation. Discipline grows slowly. Then suddenly, you will not notice day-to-day change. But one day, you will look back and see distance. That distance came from consistency, not intensity. If you want discipline, stop trying to do more. Start trying to do it daily. Less volume, more frequency. Frequency wins. Daily action rewires the brain. The brain loves patterns. Consistency creates patterns. Patterns become automatic. Automatic behavior is discipline. Intensity shocks the system. Consistency trains it. Training beats shock. Boys, this chapter matters because most people fail by going too hard. They do not fail by going too slow. They fail by stopping. Consistency prevents stopping. In the next chapter, you will learn how pressure reveals discipline, how consistency protects you when stress hits. Chapter 10. Discipline under pressure. Pressure reveals preparation. It never lies. Pressure does not create weakness. It exposes it. When life is calm, anyone can look disciplined. When life is heavy, the truth appears. Stress exposes weak systems, not weak people. Systems fail under pressure. Habits fail under pressure. Discipline survives pressure only when it is trained. Pressure is not the enemy. Unprepared minds are. Most people believe pressure breaks them. That is false. Pressure only removes comfort. What remains is your true level of discipline. If discipline disappears, when life gets hard, it was never discipline. It was convenience. Discipline shows when life is heavy, when deadlines pile up, when emotions hit, when energy is low, when motivation is gone. That is where real discipline lives. Calm under pressure is not a personality trait. It is a trained response. No one is born calm. Calm is practiced, repeated, built through systems. Pressure tests systems, not intentions. Intentions mean nothing. Under stress, systems decide outcomes. If your routine collapses, under pressure, it was fragile. Strong systems bend. They do not break. Discipline is a system, a quiet one, a reliable one that works, even on bad days, especially on bad days. Pressure compresses time. It removes space to think. That is why habits matter. You do not rise to the occasion. You fall to your training. This is not motivation talk. This is reality. When stress hits, the brain defaults to patterns. If your pattern is panic, you panic. If your pattern is calm action, you act. Calm under pressure is trained, one repetition at a time. People wait for pressure to learn discipline. That is backwards. Discipline is built before pressure arrives. So when pressure comes, you already know what to do. No debate, no delay, no emotional drama. Action happens. Pressure magnifies mistakes. It also magnifies preparation. Small daily discipline becomes strength. Under stress, neglect becomes collapse. Stress exposes weak systems. Lack of sleep, poor routines, no structure, no rules. Pressure will destroy these. Not because pressure is cruel, because reality is honest. Discipline is honesty with yourself. It asks one question: will you act even when it is hard? Not once, repeatedly. That is the test. Calm people under pressure are not lucky. They are trained. They have seen discomfort before. They have practiced control when nothing was urgent. So when everything is urgent, they remain steady. Pressure accelerates emotion, fear, anger, doubt. If emotions control action, discipline is weak. If rules control action, discipline holds. Rules beat feelings, especially under pressure. This is why discipline must be boring, simple, clear. No complexity. Complex systems collapse under stress. Simple systems survive. Wake up, do the task. No negotiation. That simplicity is strength. Pressure does not allow long thinking. Discipline removes thinking. Action becomes automatic. That is freedom. Under pressure, clarity matters. Clarity comes from repetition. Repetition builds certainty. Certainty calms the mind. Calm sharpens decisions. Sharp decisions reduce mistakes. This is the chain. Pressure does not break you. Lack of discipline does. Say it. Pressure does not break you. Lack of discipline does. Say it again. Pressure does not break you. Lack of discipline does. Most breakdowns are not caused by stress. They're caused by poor preparation. People blame pressure because it is easy. The truth is harder. Discipline was not built. Pressure only revealed it. This is empowering because preparation is controllable. You cannot control pressure. You can control training. Train calm. Train consistency. Train small actions under mild discomfort that prepares you for big discomfort. Mental toughness is exposure. Gradual, intentional, daily, not dramatic, not extreme. Pressure tolerance grows like muscle. Slowly, repeated stress. With recovery, avoidance weakens it. Confrontation strengthens it. Discipline is confrontation, not aggressive. Steady, reliable. When pressure rises, slow down. Rushed minds make errors. Calm minds see options. Calm is not passive. It is controlled energy. Pressure wants reaction. Discipline chooses response. Reaction is emotional. Response is trained. Training creates space between stimulus and action. That space is discipline. Inside that space, you choose. Most people have no space. Pressure hits. They react. Discipline creates space. Pressure hits. They pause. Then act. That pause is everything. It comes from repetition, not talent. This chapter matters because pressure is guaranteed. Life will test you. Deadlines, plus conflict, fatigue. You cannot avoid pressure, but you can decide how prepared you are. Build discipline. When life is calm, so calm remains. When life is heavy, next chapter, you will learn why boredom is the real enemy. Why discipline is proven, not in chaos, but in silence. Remember this. Pressure does not break you. Lack of discipline does. Chapter 11. Remove distractions ruthlessly. Focus is protected, not found. That is the core truth. No one accidentally stays focused. Focus is not a personality trait. It is a defended resource. Distractions drain discipline. Slowly, quietly, constantly. You do not lose discipline in one moment. You lose it through leaks. Small leaks Daily leaks. Unnoticed leaks. Every distraction steals attention. Every stolen attention weakens control. Discipline depends on focus. Focus depends on protection. If focus is unprotected, discipline collapses. Most people blame themselves. They say they lack willpower. That is incorrect. They lack boundaries. Environment shapes behavior. Boys, your surroundings decide your actions before you do. If distractions are near, discipline must fight. Fighting all day leads to exhaustion. Smart discipline removes the fight. It designs the environment to make focus easy. Control inputs to control outcomes. What you see, what you hear, what you consume. These shape your thoughts. Thoughts shape actions. Actions shape identity. Distractions are inputs. Bad inputs create bad outcomes. This is not moral. It is mechanical. Your brain responds to what is in front of it. If your phone is near, tension leaks. If noise is constant, focus weakens. If information is endless, clarity disappears. Remove distractions ruthlessly, not emotionally, strategically. Ruthless does not mean angry. It means precise. Unapologetic. Focus is valuable. Protect it like currency. Distractions are thieves. They never announce themselves. They arrive as habits. Notifications. Background noise. Open tabs. Idle scrolling. Each one seems harmless. Together, they destroy discipline. Discipline is not only about action. It is about removal. Removing what steals energy. Removing what pulls attention. Removing what delays action. Less input, more output. This is the equation. Environment shapes behavior. If your environment is chaotic, your mind will be chaotic. If your environment is calm, your mind will settle. Calm environments create calm action. Calm action creates consistency. Consistency builds discipline. This is why disciplined people care deeply about environment. They do not rely on mood. They rely on design. Design beats motivation. Boys, look around you. What pulls your attention? What interrupts your thinking? What tempts delay? Those are distractions, not enemies. Signals. They tell you where discipline is leaking. Remove them, one by one. Do not negotiate. Do not justify. If something steals focus, it goes. Focus is protected, not found. Waiting for focus is passive. Protecting focus is active. Passive people wait. Disciplined people remove. Remove apps. Remove noise. Remove clutter. Remove unnecessary choices. Choices drain energy. Fewer choices mean more action. Discipline loves simplicity. Complex environments overload the brain. Overloaded brains seek escape. Escape becomes distraction. Distraction becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. This is how discipline dies. Silently. Environment shapes behavior. You cannot outthink environment. You must outdesign it. This is not weakness. It is intelligence. Even disciplined minds fail in chaotic environments. Even strong wills collapse under constant distraction. Stop testing yourself. Start protecting yourself. Control inputs to control outcomes. What you read, what you watch, what you listen to. These enter the mind. The mind cannot ignore inputs. It processes them, even unwanted ones. Protect the gate. Your mind is the gate. Distractions are allowed. only if you allow them. This is responsibility, not pressure. Responsibility gives control. Remove distractions ruthlessly, because focus compounds. 5 minutes of focus beats 1 hour of distraction. Work beats busy work. Quiet effort beats loud activity. Distractions create movement. Focus creates progress. They are not the same. Many people are busy. Few people are focused. Busy feels productive. It is not. Focus feels boring. It works. Discipline grows. In boredom, distractions exist. To escape boredom, remove distractions, and boredom appears. That is good. Boredom trains patience. Patience trains discipline. Discipline trains freedom. This is the path. Protect your focus. Say it. Protect your focus. Say it again. Protect your focus. You do not need more hacks. You need fewer distractions. You do not need more motivation. You need cleaner inputs. Discipline thrives in quiet spaces, not loud ones. Silence is not empty. It is powerful. Silence gives room for thought. Thought gives direction. Direction gives action. Action builds identity. Distractions interrupt this chain. Remove them. Ruthlessly. Not once. Continuously. Distractions adapt. So must discipline. Review your environment often. Ask one question. Does this help focus? Or steal it? If it steals, it goes. No guilt. No debate. Protect your focus. Because focus protects your future. Next chapter, the final chapter, will tie everything together. You will learn how to act like the person you want to become, and why behavior changes identity faster than thought. Remember this. Focus is protected, not found. Protect your focus. Chapter 12. Discipline is doing it alone. No one is coming to save you. That is the core truth. Not motivation. Not inspiration. Not support. Not applause. Discipline is personal. It always has been. It always will be. Most people fail because they wait. They wait for encouragement. They wait for validation. They wait for someone to understand them. They wait for permission. Discipline does not wait. Discipline moves alone. When no one is watching. When no one cares. When no one claps. This is where real strength is built. Praise is optional. Results are private. The work happens in silence. Boys, if you need applause to act, you are not disciplined. If you need agreement to move, you are not free. Discipline is doing it alone. Early mornings, late nights, quiet rooms, unnoticed effort. This is the reality. Most people want discipline. With company, they want partners. They want teams. They want someone to struggle with them. That is comfort, not discipline. Discipline stands alone. It does not complain. It does not explain. It does not announce itself. It just acts. Again and again and again. No one is coming to save you. This is not negative. It is empowering. Because if no one is coming, you are responsible. And responsibility creates control. When you accept that it is on you, everything changes. Excuses disappear. Blame fades. Action increases. Discipline becomes simple. Do the work, even alone. Especially alone. Most people quit when they feel unseen. They think, what is the point? That question reveals dependence. Discipline does not need external purpose. It creates internal structure. You show up because that is who you are, not because someone is watching. Not because someone cares. Not because someone will praise you. Results are private. Growth is quiet. Progress is invisible. Before it is obvious. If you cannot work in silence, you cannot grow in public. This is the rule. Every strong person was once alone. Every disciplined habit started unseen. Every powerful identity was built quietly. Discipline is personal. No one else can do it for you. No one else can carry it. No one else can maintain it. They can advise. They can support. They cannot act. Action is solitary. Boys, you wake up alone. You decide alone. You act alone. Even in a crowd, discipline is internal. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for approval. Do not wait for understanding. You do not need their permission. Say it. You do not need their permission. Fin. You do not need their permission. Waiting for permission is fear in disguise. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. Fear of standing out. Discipline does not negotiate with fear. It moves anyway, alone. Many people delay action because no one else is doing it with them. That is weakness. Strength X. Without witnesses, discipline grows. When no one is watching, that is why it lasts. Public motivation fades. Private discipline compounds. Results come later, much later. And when they do, people call it luck. They call it talent. They call it sudden success. They did not see the silence. They did not see the isolation. They did not see the boring days. They did not see the lonely nights. Discipline is doing it alone. This chapter matters because this is where most people fail. Not at the start, at the quiet middle, when excitement is gone, when support disappears, when results are not visible. That is the test. Do you still act? Do you still show up? Do you still follow rules? When no one checks, that is discipline. Praise is optional. Never depend on it. Praise creates attachment. Attachment weakens independence. Independence strengthens discipline. You must become comfortable with being misunderstood, with being unnoticed, with being alone in effort. That is the price. And it is worth it, because the reward is self-respect. Self-respect is priceless. It cannot be given. It must be earned. Earned through private effort. Earned through consistency. Earned through discipline. When no one is watching, no one is coming to save you. That means you save yourself. Through action. Through rules. Through repetition. Through silence. This is not harsh. It is honest. Discipline is not dramatic. It is boring. It is repetitive. It is lonely. And it works. Most people want discipline to feel good. Real discipline often feels empty, neutral, unemotional. That is why it lasts. Emotion fades. Structure remains. Discipline is structure. Built alone. Maintained alone. Strengthened alone. This does not mean isolation. It means independence. You can have people. You can have support. But you do not depend on it. You act regardless. You move regardless. You commit regardless. That is freedom. Freedom is not ease. Freedom is self-control. And self-control is built alone. Say the anchor. You do not need their permission. Say it again. You do not need their permission. One more time. You do not need their permission. This book ends here. But discipline does not. Discipline continues. After the last word. After the audio stops. After the motivation fades. After the day gets heavy. Discipline stays. If you act, even alone, especially alone. This is the psychology of discipline, and now it is yours to live. Chapter 13. Discipline is boring, and that is why it works. Discipline is boring. That is the truth, and that is exactly why it works. Most people avoid boredom. They chase excitement. They chase feeling. They chase motivation. And they fail because excitement fades. Boys, discipline stays simple. Simple things repeated for a long time create greatness. Boring done daily wins. This chapter matters because many people quit for the wrong reason. They say, "This feels boring." They think boredom means something is wrong. It does not. Boredom means the system is working. Progress is not exciting. Growth is not dramatic. Real change is quiet, repetitive, predictable. That is discipline. Most people want transformation, to feel intense. They want fire. They want passion. They want emotional highs. Those things burn out. Discipline does not burn. It endures. Discipline is boring because it removes chaos. It removes decision fatigue. It removes emotional drama. You wake up. You act. You follow rules. No debate. No excitement. Just execution. That is power. Boredom builds greatness. Because boredom is stable. It does not depend on mood. It does not depend on energy. It does not depend on confidence. You act even when nothing feels special. That is discipline. Excitement creates spikes. Spikes create crashes. Crashes create quitting. Boredom creates flat lines. Flat lines create consistency. Consistency creates results. This is how discipline works. Most people fail because they confuse boredom with lack of progress. They think, if I am bored, I must not be growing. In reality, boredom is a sign. You are no longer distracted. You are focused. Focus feels boring to an untrained mind. A distracted mind needs stimulation. A disciplined mind needs structure. Discipline stays simple. The same routine, the same actions, the same standards. Day after day, week after week, month after month. This is not glamorous. It is effective. Boring done daily wins. Say it. Boring done daily wins. Fin. Boring done daily wins. Look at any strong person. Their routine is not exciting. Their habits are not dramatic. Their discipline is quiet. They show up. They do the work. They leave. No story. No performance. Just repetition. That is why it works. Discipline removes novelty. Novelty feels good. Novelty does not last. Discipline removes choice. Choice creates confusion. Confusion creates delay. Discipline creates clarity. Clarity creates action. Action creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence comes later, not first. This is important. Most people wait to feel confident. Disciplined people act without confidence. They rely on structure, not emotion. Emotion is unstable. Structure is reliable. Discipline is boring because it does not entertain you. It trains you. Training is repetitive. Training is dull. Training is effective. No athlete improves by doing something new every day. They repeat basics again and again and again until the basics become automatic. That is discipline. Boredom builds greatness because boredom removes ego. There is nothing to prove, nothing to show, nothing to post. Just work. Ego hates boredom. Ego wants attention. Discipline ignores ego. That is why discipline wins. Most people quit when the excitement is gone. They say, "I lost motivation." They did not lose motivation. They lost novelty. They were never disciplined. Discipline begins when novelty ends. That is the turning point. If you can continue when it feels boring, you will outlast most people. Not because you are special, because you stayed. Discipline stays. Excitement leaves. That is the difference. Boring routines create extraordinary outcomes. Not because they are exciting, because they are consistent. The mind resists boredom because boredom feels empty. But emptiness creates space. Space creates focus. Focus creates mastery. Mastery creates freedom. Freedom is calm. Calm feels boring to a chaotic mind, but calm is powerful. Discipline creates calm. Calm allows progress without friction. This is why discipline works. It removes emotional resistance. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel inspired. You just follow the plan. Plans do not care how you feel. That is their strength. Boring systems protect you from yourself, from your moods, from your excuses, from your emotions. That is discipline. Say the anchor. Boring. Repeated. Effective. Fin. Boring. Repeated. Effective. One more time. Boring. Repeated. Effective. If you want excitement, choose entertainment. If you want results, choose discipline. Results are boring to build, exciting to look at later. People only see the outcome. They do not see the boredom. They do not see the repetition. They do not see the sameness. That is why they are confused. They want the result without the boredom. That is impossible. Boredom is the price, and it is affordable. You do not need talent. You do not need luck. You need patience, and patience is built through boring repetition. Discipline is boring. That is not a flaw. That is the feature. That is why it works. If you can accept boredom, you can accept discipline. If you can accept discipline, you can change your life. Quietly, slowly, effectively. Boring done daily wins. And it always will. Chapter 14. Become the person who always shows up. Discipline reaches its highest level when it no longer feels forced. That is the goal. Not struggle. Not constant effort, but alignment. Discipline becomes automatic when actions match identity. This chapter is the finish line, and also the beginning, because the strongest form of discipline is not what you do once. It is who you become. Showing up is no longer a decision. It is your default. You wake up. You act. No debate. No drama. No resistance. That is real control. Most people think discipline is about pushing harder. It is not. It is about becoming different. When identity changes, behavior follows. You stop asking, "Should I do this today?" You start thinking, "This is what I do." That is power. Discipline becomes automatic. When your self-image is clear, you no longer try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. There is a difference. Trying creates tension. Being creates flow. Flow removes resistance. Resistance loses power. When identity is strong. This is how discipline becomes natural. You stop negotiating. You stop motivating. You stop forcing. You simply show up. Every day. In small ways. In boring ways. In quiet ways. And those ways compound. Showing up builds trust. Trust builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds identity. Identity locks discipline. This is the cycle. Weak discipline comes from weak identity. Strong discipline comes from clear identity. You act how you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who quits, you will quit. If you see yourself as someone who shows up, you will show up. Even on bad days. Especially on bad days. This is not motivation. This is alignment. Alignment removes effort. Effort drains energy. Alignment conserves energy. That is why disciplined people look calm. They are not fighting themselves. They are cooperating with themselves. Control becomes natural when there is no internal conflict. Conflict comes from mismatch. Mismatch between who you think you are and what you try to do. Resolve the mismatch. Decide who you are. Then act accordingly. Once decided, there is no argument. Rules are already set. Identity already chosen. Showing up becomes automatic. Most people wait for resistance to disappear. It does not. But resistance loses power. When identity is stronger, resistance speaks. Identity commands. When identity speaks, resistance gets quiet. You still feel discomfort, but it no longer controls you, because discomfort does not define you. Your standards do. This is important. Discipline does not mean you feel good. It means you act correctly. Correct action repeated creates correct identity. Correct identity removes hesitation. This is the final stage. You no longer ask, "Can I do this?" You say, "This is who I am." And you act. Showing up becomes normal. Skipping feels strange. Consistency feels natural. This is discipline mastered. Not perfect, but reliable. Not emotional, but steady. Not loud, but strong. You do not need external pressure anymore. You do not need someone to push you. You push yourself by being yourself. That is self-mastery. Control becomes natural because chaos no longer fits. Distraction feels wrong. Excuses feel weak. Delay feels uncomfortable. Action feels correct. This is the shift, and it only comes after long repetition. Do not rush this stage. It is earned. Every day you showed up when it was boring. Every day you showed up when it was hard. Every day you showed up without applause. Those days built this. Now discipline works for you instead of against you. You are no longer fighting habits. You are living standards. Standards do not argue. They guide. This is why identity matters. Behavior can break. Identity holds. Motivation fades. Identity stays. Effort drains. Identity sustains. You are not chasing discipline anymore. You are expressing it. That is freedom. Say the anchor. Act higher. Rise higher. Fin. Act higher. Rise higher. One more time. Act higher. Rise higher. When you act higher, you rise without force. When you rise higher, discipline becomes light. This is not the end. This is the foundation. You now understand discipline at its deepest level, not as pressure, not as punishment, but as alignment. You became the person who always shows up, and that person does not stop, because this is who you are now. Quiet, consistent, unbreakable, disciplined. Final outro. You now understand the psychology of discipline, not as theory, but as action. You learn that motivation fades, feelings lie, and discipline is built through choice. Every day, you will face resistance. And every day, you decide. You have a choice. React and repeat the same life. Or act with discipline and change it. You do not need permission. You do not need perfect timing. It is not about comfort, it is about control. Apply what you heard. Repeat what works. Cut what weakens you. This audiobook ends here. Your discipline starts now. Choose wisely.